Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. So they're filming me heavily right now. If I roll down the windows, they'll film me from the outside with a different film that quite often is worse. And they're trying to make it so I sound gay. I am not gay. I will never be gay. It is against my religion to be gay. And they're trying to normalize homosexuality, okay, in a way that involves making it so everyone seems gay or gayish on a spectrum. And ironically, they're trying to make whites and Jews at times seem less gay than everyone else. And they're trying to use that to make them seem superior and to kind of play their religious game. And, you know, it's kind of like make everyone angry, pink savages, and then say that you're less pink than they are. And so magically, you're magically chosen or something. And it's very wrong. So as I seen a video, I believe it's by a Jewish gentleman, where he says that, so it says that roughly 80% of Ashkenazi Jews are descended from the same 7 males. And we see in America, we see a lot of people who look like Kim Kardashian in more than one way. And we see that a lot of people look like a lot of the Jewish celebrities, right? When we look at the Jewish people, and I think this like this with a lot of people, but perhaps to not the same degree, we see that they seem to resemble each other more often than not. And that's what made it easy to identify crypto Jews quite often, because there's that lack of gene diversity. Okay, think of being inbred versus being hybrid. Now, Africans are the most diverse people as a group, as a quote-unquote race. Keep in mind that scientists have said that race isn't a valid concept, isn't a valid scientific concept. But certainly, to some degree, it's a valid social concept. That's a story for another day. But we see that, Nigerians, for example, very diverse, right? Some are big and strong and coordinated. Some are short and skinny. Some are tall and coordinated. So you see a lot of variation. Okay. So I think that it's extra racist for Jews to say that they're chosen because there's a lack of gene diversity. So it's already racist to say they're chosen without strong evidence, just a book, right? Those who say that, and some don't, right? And it's extra racist to kind of, be the sort of patriarchal line promoting scientific racism. Keep in mind, I've been saying this for years. I said, look, they have a problem with me based on my patriarchal line before I saw this video. And then, here's this revelation, right, that 80% of Ashkenazi Jews descend from the same 7 males, okay? And I talked about phallic symbols and sex cults and patriarchal lines. And I said, they're doing the King Solomon's temple thing, right? It's like, he had 1,000 wives and concubines, right? In a sense, all his wives are concubines too, because how are you going to have a serious wife if you have more than one of her, okay? So they're all being treated like whores, right? So, it's part of that kind of Masonic, building Solomon's temple philosophy and culture to try to, quote unquote, be fruitful and multiply. But you know them by their fruit, right? Lots of these people came together to persecute me, whites, Jews, LGBT, every race you can think of, right? That's part of why the whole world is damned, not just Jews, the whole world after my flesh dies, okay? I'm not picking on the Jews. I'm just calling it how I see it and judging people according to their deeds, like it says in your Bible, and I agree with that. And I don't believe the Bible is what God intended for us to use. I believe that, people with bad intentions made the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran. No offense to anybody, but this is what the evidence shows us, and I deal with logic. I deal with the facts and the evidence, and not fabricated evidence from scholars and universities and their arrogant, staff and periodicals and publications and magazines and whatever writings they have. I don't trust those people. Okay, so I have to really read between the lines when I look at that stuff. Just because it's peer reviewed and it came up on Google doesn't mean you can trust it. So as I looked at this thing, man, I said, wow, this is crazy as hell what they're doing. It is like a horror movie. Right? It's even called horror, right? Horror and horror. The horror that rode the beast, Babylon and all its atrocities, right? Babylon kind of morphed into Rome. I mean, it went all over the world, but Rome was like their pride and joy after Babylon faded away, right? Baal, worship was Jupiter worship there. In Greece, it was Zeus worship. In Egypt, it was Set worship, and so on and so forth. And they spread around the world. That's why it's called the Baals, plural, that they're worshiping the Baals, because there was variations of the deity of Baal and his family, and they spread out and became like the arrogant, rich, and ruthless governing class, for the most part. I don't know every single person in the governing class, but at least a large amount of them, if not all of them, are people who trace their heritage, who descend from people who worship Baal, right? It's just like in Rome, right? The Club of Rome, this globalist group, right? They worshipped Jupiter, aka Zeus, aka Set, aka the devil, okay? And they pretend, they call good evil and evil good. So they're calling Horus magically the bad guy in his true form, and they're calling Set good. Now keep in mind that just like with the Bible, those people who interpreted Horus all kinds of ways. Some people interpreted Horus correctly and said that's the ideal person, the son of God. That's what it means to be good and just. And some people were, some kind of immature worms with a magic wand and pretending that their family's Horus and so on and so forth. Just pathetic. So you see that, right? You see that I'm right about this. You see that everyone knows this, okay? And don't get it straight, right? People who are skinheads are bad people. Okay, do they rally and obey God through me and change their life and are transformed, or are they just going to keep being hateful and white supremacists? If you're a racial supremacist, right, that's the flesh, then you worship, the material realm, you're a racist, you're a piece of shit, okay? But if you are a moral supremacist, and when you hear the words of God coming from me, that you rally and obey God through me, and you don't fall for hey, but we're hacking his brain, guys. No, but he's fumed. He means well, but he's fumed. If you don't fall for that geek-ass, bitch-ass, Masonic-ass, social club, corporate, fucking sissy, governing class, punk shit, okay? And you rally and obey God through me, then that's the narrow road that few find to heaven. That's why it says few find it, because they got to mean well with all their heart, and they got to be destined to find it. Many are called, few are chosen. That's the truest application of that saying. That's where it's true. So when we look at this thing, you got to see that part of the struggle to communicate is that there's a bunch of rape cult trash. Okay? And again, a lot of females who don't like that they're rapists are related to them. Okay? But let's face it, if you don't rally and obey God through me, you're helping him. One who's slacking his work is brother to one who destroys. Set opposes Horus. Okay, if you're a Setian opposing Setian, right? You're just two rape cult spirits kind of disagreeing, and that's basically what hell is: a bunch of evil rape cult spirits fighting with each other, disagreeing. Okay, some live in some semblance of peace with each other. That's what hell is. That's what it means to be in darkness. If you're walking through the forest at night, for example, you might not get eaten by a fucking mountain lion or something, but you're still walking in darkness and it's still creepy and evil and so on and so forth. Okay, so for the purpose of metaphors and drawing parallels and for nothing else. So you see that it's clear here, that we're crystal clear here, that what they're doing is wrong. These people proliferate, right? Be it the white governing class, Jewish, LGBT, I don't care who's doing it. I don't care if they're blacker than me, right? It's wrong to try to control reproduction for the purpose of elevating your genes in the eyes of idiots. Idiots who are dumb enough to keep breeding and obeying you every generation. These people make Ren and Stimpy look like fucking geniuses. I'm going to have a baby in 2024. That's fucking retarded. And some people might think, hey, you're going to make your race go extinct. If you're going through hell, keep on going. Don't stay there trying to get everyone like you to reproduce and say, hey, our race needs to fucking multiply, guys. We need to multiply. Whether we fucking are whitewashing the next week and we lose our king and our purpose or not, we need to multiply in hell, man, because we're fucking house nigga pussy. Okay? That's not the move here. But one of the sickest jokes they say is when they say, we're going to have to screen you out. It's like, look, you die anyway. You're the ones being screened out. That's why in your own book, those who betray God are compared to being like dung on the ground, like pieces of shit. Pieces of fucking shit. Piece of shit gonna say to God's son, who's the only person with a covenant with God. Okay, the monarch and the ark of the covenant. In reality, not in your story and your sick racist interpretations of it. Okay? And you're gonna say to me, we're gonna have to screen you out. You're basically saying to God through his son that you're gonna have to screen his son out for not obeying your bitch ass. You don't think that's fucking stupid? You don't think that if your children should execute you for that, trying to wipe that disgrace from their family? That's fucking pathetic. It's like, look, we're threatening you, Patty. We don't care who you. We don't care if you're Jesus or not. We're threatening you. That's the kind of bitch shit That's part of the provocations they do every day. It's so outrageous. You fucking cowards think I'm supposed to be moved? You pussies? Not a man among you type of bitch? And you think that your fucking empty threats when I'm gonna die anyway and I'm be at God's right hand is gonna move me? You may as well be saying to me, next time you do push-ups, man, you're gonna have to struggle, buddy. And that's us, man, that's us. Who gives a shit? But you threatening me on behalf of your families and your fucking nations is gonna come down on their souls and the souls of your offspring. You fucking morons!